Right.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Fitzpatrick, and I am the Director of Advocacy for Arizona and Nevada at the Alzheimer's Association. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Know Before You Go. This webinar will hopefully prepare you for what's to come on State Day, which is just a couple of days away. But before I begin, I would like to share a quick video. At the Alzheimer's Association and the Public Policy Department, we like to refer to Alzheimer's and all related dementias as a purple issue. One thing to remember is that Alzheimer's disease and related dementias knows no political affiliation. If legislators you meet with on Monday do not have a personal connection to the disease, your personal story will paint a picture of the impact of the devastating aspects of Alzheimer's and dementia. I'd like to share a quote by Rosalind Carter, President Jimmy Carter's wife, and she said, "There are four kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers." If somebody does not have a connection to any type of dementia, it is just a matter of time. So when you go and do all of your legislative meetings, on Monday, just keep in mind that we all have our own political beliefs, and your political beliefs are valid. All of your beliefs are valid. But just remember, we are here to advocate, educate, and hopefully inspire our state legislators to support our state legislative asks here in Arizona. One thing that we always like to tell people is expect the unexpected. Our key word for Monday is flexibility. We are still currently working with elected officials to schedule legislative visits for all of you. As of right now, we have around 40 visits scheduled throughout the day. There are 90 state legislators at the Capitol, so just a little under half, but this is pretty much normal. One thing to make sure that you have in the front or back of your mind, wherever you would like to store it, is legislators are working while we're there. And in general, yes, they do have the ability. They should be meeting with the constituents. They should be meeting with lobbyists, and they will be. One thing that I want to express to you is your visits may be cut short, or potentially could run long, or can be canceled. Or you can potentially have something like, "Hey, advocates, please walk with me through the hallways as I go to session." I'm hoping for such great things. I'm hoping for more visits for everybody. But because we're doing our state day so early this year, as the legislative session just started a couple of weeks ago, we now have the rest of legislative session to do more advocacy work, because this isn't just a one day and done until next year. The fight for a cure, the fight for programs and services, assets to be able to benefit those impacted by this disease and their caregivers, it's a year-round thing. It's a 24/7, 365 days a year. This may be the first time you have talked to a legislator about dementia or in general. They are people too. I know some of them are on the news more than others, but they are people. We are their constituents. And at one time, they were a constituent of the state as well. One thing that I want to make sure that you all hold on to is, if any elected official asks you a question and you do not know the answer to it, just say, I'm not sure, but I can ask somebody from the Alzheimer's Association to follow up with you. Our asks are, in my opinion, not deeply complex. They are deeply impactful, but we want to make sure that we are giving the correct information. And if you don't know, it's totally fine. I don't know everything. I've worked at the association for a little over 8 years. I don't know everything. Nobody needs to be the expert. If anybody ever tells you they're an expert in something, they're lying. People may be really good at things, but nobody is an expert in everything. To go over what to expect for State Day, our agenda consists of our check-in. The State Day does start at 8:30. We will be there earlier in the morning, so if you want to get there, we will have coffee and bagels, some fruit, light breakfast, an opportunity to network. During this time, you will receive your legislative visit schedule. Our visits, as of right now, literally start at 8:30 and they go until 2:30. So there will be a group of people that as soon as you show up, you will be going to your meeting, your first meeting. We are trying to get at least 3 meetings for everybody to be able to participate in throughout the day. We will hear some testimonials from some of our volunteer advocates. For those of you that have later meetings in the morning, because the majority of the meetings will all be before noon. We do have some scheduled after 12 p.m., but most of them will be in the morning because the legislative session, the floor session occurs in the afternoon. So we will be able to do some training and some prep work for advocates that are scared or nervous. A lot of times people come in like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I'm so nervous. I will tell you this. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I get nervous as well. We want to prep you for as much as we possibly can, and we will give you documents that will allow you to discuss anything you want except for your personal story. On Tuesday, we had our first timer symposium. The most important thing that you can do is share your story. We will have documentation for the legislators on the legislative ask, and we will have talking points for you, which Tori Roberg, the Director of Government Affairs for Arizona at the Alzheimer's Association, will go over in a little bit. All you have to do is read. Reading is sometimes easier because we don't want to mess up and, you know, do you. I don't want you to think that you can do anything that I say, but I want to make sure that you guys are all comfortable with doing this. And I will tell you, in the past, I've had numerous Day of Advocates show up, super, super nervous. They do that first meeting and they're like, wow, I can do this all the time. That was cake. Once you do it once you rip off that Band-Aid, you're good to go. We do have a couple of tours scheduled. We have a tour in the House and we have a tour in the Senate. I do apologize to everybody. Everybody won't be able to participate in these types of things because the most important thing is for you to do your legislative visits. With the biggest heart, I wish we were able to like delineate this time for meetings and this time for tours. That's just not how it works. Once again, we're going into their office while they're working. So we need to be accommodating. We will have lunch. We will have a short lunchtime programs, box lunches. We want to make sure that we're cognizant of everybody's health. And one thing that is different, if you've ever participated in an Alzheimer's State Day or any event at the Capitol, usually they're on the lawn of the Capitol. But this year, we're doing something a little bit, the legislature is doing something a little bit different, and we will actually be across the street at Wesley Bolin Plaza. If you've never been down to the Capitol, in front, there's this huge, gigantic park. I will be sending out this information. You can park. There's a parking lot available right off of Adams Street, and there's also another one off of Jefferson. And we will be in the middle, which is what we call the bowl or the auditorium. There will be large flowers at each entrance, so you won't miss us. We will have a tent because you never know what the weather's going to be like. We will have heaters. Once again, we don't know what the weather will be like. as well as tables and chairs, and the bowl, which is probably what we'll refer to it on Monday, is our home base. I will stress, please, please, please wear comfortable clothes. You will be making all of your steps on Monday. You don't necessarily have to come back to the bowl every time you do a meeting, because you might have an 11 o'clock meeting and then an 11:30 meeting. So you'll just go from one to the other. But this will be our home base. This is where we'll check in. It will also be where we have lunch and our mini programs throughout the day. If you've never been to the Capitol, this is I'm just going to tell you a stolen image that I took off of the internet to give you a view of what the Capitol is. Where the arrows point to, that is the bowl. And then if you look behind the bowl or right in front of you, that is the Capitol. We have the Senate on the left-hand side, we have the House on the right, and in the very back is the Executive Tower where our new governor is working diligently. One thing that you will receive when you check in is your name tag, your lanyard name tag. We will give everybody an advocate's packet, which will have all of the same information that we will be giving to the legislators. And I will go over the legislative packet in a moment. Sorry, let me jump to the next slide. In the packet, you'll have your agenda. We are trying to get a document on bios for each of you, the legislative visits. So we're working on that diligently. So fingers crossed that we'll be able to have at least an image, like a little picture and a short bio, so you know who you're meeting with when you go in. We will have our legislative asks sheet. We are still finalizing all of the collateral that we will be handing out to all of you, and all of the collateral that you will be then handing out to our elected officials. We will have a story, we will get fact sheets, and there will be tip sheets on how to share your personal story and how to have a successful meeting. Really quickly, this workshop is being recorded. We will be sending this out to all of you tomorrow, along with all of these documents. You do not need to print them and bring them. You're more than welcome to print them at home or at your work or what have you. We will be giving you all of this stuff the day of, but it doesn't hurt to look over all of the information ahead of time. For the legislative packet, we will have the legislative asks, fact sheets on Arizona facts and figures, information on state Alzheimer's disease plans, as well as state dementia services coordinator positions. And if you are reading between the lines, we have legislative asks pertaining to the Arizona Alzheimer's state plan, and we're hoping to get a dementia services coordinator or unit within the Capitol. We do have a legislator gift, and I don't know, I'm assuming you guys can all see this. It's a mug. We will be giving you all the mugs. Inside the mug, we'll have a packet of oatmeal, and we will have a brochure on 10 ways to have a healthy brain. This is just something that you will be handing out to our legislators. Collateral or fun things that are things that I think are fun that we will be handing out to all of you is everybody will get a paddle. And on one side, it says #EndAlz, and on the other, it says Alz Impact. The Alzheimer's, sorry, don't know where I was going with that. So be prepared to have your folder, as well as at least one person within your group who you're doing all of your meetings with. You will need to make sure that you have a legislative packet as well. So now I will hand it over to Tori Rober, the Director of Government Affairs for the Alzheimer's Association here in Nevada. I'm sorry, here in Arizona. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. And just so everybody knows, I do live in Arizona, even though I work in Nevada. So Tori, take it away.
Thank you, James. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good Thursday. I'm a little sick, so my voice is scratchy, but hopefully I can make it through make it through this today, and I wish to be healthy on Monday to be with you at the Capitol. So I just wanted to start by thanking James for all the work he's put into this event. It takes an enormous amount of planning and phone calls, and he's been doing so much. So kudos to you, James, for all the work that you've done. James, we are looking at your screen still, and I'm waiting to see which slides you're going to put up.
Sorry. My bad for messing with things.
No problem. No problem. We have good asks this year. And I have been meeting with lawmakers. I think that was about 20 of them so far. And I want to let you know that whether they are Republicans or Democrats, the lawmakers at the Capitol are very supportive of our issues, the ones that I've spoken to so far. So I just want to put that out there that, you know, there's a partisan divide at our Capitol. So it's important to remember what James said earlier about not a red issue or blue issue or purple issue. We do appeal to everybody. So all of the meetings you will have will be friendly. I don't anticipate any trouble for any of you. I think it's going to be wonderful, actually, because you're going to be able to build this relationship. We have 40 new lawmakers who've never been to our Capitol before. Now, some of them already know we exist, which made me very happy. In some of my meetings, they're like, "Oh, we know about you. We like you." But a big thing of what we're doing, besides the legislative ask, is to be a brand ambassador for the Alzheimer's Association, so that when the time comes for them to vote on bills that we've been working on, they know that we are an organization that are here to do good things for people living with dementia and those who care for them. And so it's up to you to also be our brand ambassadors on Monday and make sure we avoid any controversial politics discussions. I ask very kindly of you, because there is a lot of that going on down there, and they don't need to hear that from us. What we're here to do is to basically catch Arizona up. You know, I have to say that when I came into this position several months ago, I took an inventory of what was going on in the state, and I found it to be very confusing. That should probably come as no surprise to all of you. I found that different state agencies were doing things that kind of worked with what other state agencies were doing, but nobody was really talking to each other. That the state agencies weren't talking. So the other thing I found was I kept going back to this dementia state plan and trying to understand, like, how did it come to be? How did it come to be? It was established in essentially in 2011. Then Governor Brewer did a proclamation establishing the Alzheimer's Task Force, and then there was a grant several years later from Vitalis to create this dementia state plan. So this was like a privately funded, group that got together through Vitalis, and they created this state plan with the help of some major players in Arizona, major players in Arizona, including the Alzheimer's Association, were involved in this state plan. So we have this state plan that was published in 2016. It's called a Framework for Action. And what we're proposing to do now in 2023 is to make that state plan something that goes into statute. And why do we want to do that? This is the reason why is so that the state plan will be implemented, facilitated, and updated regularly. And so the first bill that we are proposing this year it does exactly that. It establishes the state plan, the dementia state plan in statute. And we're creating a unit within the Department of Health Services to be the lead agency in the state. So that means that their job will be to coordinate all the other agencies that work on dementia. And we'll have a single place that we can go. And so we're going to create this dementia unit and the state plan in statute. And so that is all encompassed into one bill. It's 2 pages long, and I don't have a copy for you yet because it's still being drafted. So when you're going and talking to folks on Monday, you're not going to have a bill to point to, and that's okay. You don't need to. So the idea is, though, to let them know this is coming. Senator Shope in the Senate is running this bill for us, and we have plenty of time to get this introduced, and it will be. It's already in the drafting form, so I want to let y'all know. But that's basically the ask number one. We're going to say, you know, we need a coordinated state effort for dementia. Will you support our ask? Will you support this bill? When it comes through for a vote to you, will you support this bill? Can we count on you? Because
Tori,
we know,
does that have a price tag yet?
yes, well, we put $250 on it, and we'll see what happens. I'm guessing the number is going to be negotiated lower as the session goes on, but we're starting with our ask for a unit, you know, not just one position, but multiple positions. It has 2 FTE and $250,000, and that is to implement, facilitate, and basically have this unit. So that's not just salaries and ERE in that 250, but there will be some more money in there for them to work with. But I'm guessing we'll see what happens as the session goes by. we'll see what happens, but that's our initial ask. That's what we're asking for. Are there any other questions on the first ask? And I assure you, you do not need to be the expert on the bill, especially since you won't necessarily have a copy of it. But it is the idea that we are pushing, and we know the bill is coming. Okay, next slide. Okay, so our second ask, we do have a bill to point to. Now, Representative Dunn from Yuma is running this legislation in the House. It's House Bill 2087. And this bill, basically, it's very simple. It's asking for $500,000 to run a public awareness campaign in rural and underserved urban areas. And it's a very short bill. You can look it up, and that's really it. That's it. We say that the bill says that the money is to be appropriated to DHS, and DHS can then give it out to nonprofit to run this campaign for them. And then there's a report that's due to the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the Governor about how that money was spent, how many people were reached, etc. So of course, we had to write into the bill, you know, we want to make sure that the money is used appropriately, and also that it's utilized in such a way that, you know, when we put up, if a billboard is put up with a phone number on it, that someone's going to be able to answer that phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in whatever language you speak, and give you information about dementia and how to get, it's basically about early detection and risk reduction. So that's what that bill does. And I have to say, don't be nervous about it. $500,000, to me, it sounds like a lot of money. I'm sure it does to you too. It's actually quite a modest ask. It's quite modest. And so this is, and there are other states who are asking for more. Would I love to ask for more? Sure, but I'd be really happy if we get this. So that bill is in the House. It's been assigned to the Appropriations Committee. So if you are meeting with somebody on the Appropriations Committee, we'll let you know for sure that you're meeting with someone from that committee, but they will be the first people to vote on this bill. But everybody, this is going to be a part of the budget negotiations. Everybody will touch it at some point, so no matter who you're working with. Any questions? Okay, wonderful. So those are the legislative asks. I'm just going to say again, you know, first and foremost, sharing your story is the most important thing that you can do, building that relationship. And this will not be the last time that you'll be talking to those lawmakers, because we will be following up with them as session goes by to make sure that our legislative asks make it into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. As I said earlier, when you get to the legislative meeting, after you do your introductions and share your story, when I said that you can literally read what our legislative asks are, this is what we're doing. So for ask one, you will say, we would like to establish a dementia state plan and create a dementia unit within Arizona Department of Health. I'm not going to read this verbatim because you all can do this. but this is like broken down in bullet points. We might change the language a little bit between this afternoon and I guess Sunday. You know, Monday's coming soon. And the same thing for the awareness, the public campaign, the public awareness campaign bill. Same thing, just read it. You can spend the next several days like trying to memorize this, and that's totally fine. But like I said, and like Tori just said, we have the rest of legislative session, and in general, it ends in April, but historically it goes all the way to June because of the budget. So definitely more opportunities to come. Now I would like to introduce Carol Brown. Carol has been a volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association for several years now. If you participated in the First Timer Symposium on Tuesday, you will have already met her virtually. She has been an advocate. I actually met her at the Capitol. We were in a meeting at the governor's building years ago. So I'd like to welcome Carol to discuss from a volunteer perspective, what should you really expect on State Day? So Carol?
Thanks, James. Okay, folks, I can't see all of you, but I'm going to guess that some of you have been to State Day before, and some of you might be brand new. So first thing I'm going to tell you is listen to James when he said dress comfortably. I promise you that if your feet hurt, it won't be as much fun to do this. So make sure you have on a good pair of shoes. Do you see that picture of me? I'm in Washington, D.C. last year at the forum, and I am not wearing those shoes again this year when I go. Comfortable shoes, comfortable clothing. Don't be worried about that stuff when you're getting ready to go out and meet face to face with your legislators in your meetings. What really happens, you're going to get there that morning and you're probably going to go, okay, where do I go? And what do I get? And what do I need to have? And get together with your team as quick as you can. Find out who your teammates are and start strategizing as quickly as possible. Who's going to do what so that you can be reassured what your part is. You can switch it up, but lots of times the team sort of falls into a wonderful fit like a puzzle does, where you decide which part of the meeting you'd like to handle, and then you like it so much you tend to stay with that. So know that you can rely on your teammates. If you tend to be prone to forget a certain item, like here's where I get hung up every time, remembering to take the picture with your legislator before you leave. So I normally find a teammate who's just really, really good with their phone, used to snapping pictures, likes to do it. And I ask them, will you be the person who remembers every time to ask to take the picture? That will help take some pressure off of you as well. What really happens? Anything and everything. I've been in meetings where I walked in because of circumstances. A couple of meetings got canceled with other legislators. So the meeting that I was going to be attending suddenly had 12 of us advocates meeting with this one person. So we filled the room, and I was pretty new. So I thought, oh my gosh, well, there's too many of us. I won't even talk. But he wanted us to introduce ourselves, each one of us. We did. And then they proceed to tell us we have 5 minutes. I have a bill on the floor. My admin is watching the screen for me. And the minute they ring the bell, I've got to go. So I'm guessing you have 5 minutes. Go. And I looked around the room expecting one of the experts to just jump in and start talking. And I think it caught us off guard collectively, and no one was saying anything. So I went, well, I guess I'm going to do it. And so talked as fast as I could. We maybe had an extra 30 seconds before he did get called, but it was a great meeting, and it was fun and funny. We all kind of chuckled afterwards how that came about and how it worked out. It was a great experience. You know, it kind of broke the ice for the ones that were in the room, and it ended up being their first meeting of the day. I've been in meetings when the legislator cried. And that was because they had a loved one in their own family that they lost. And because I knew this person personally, I was able to warn my advocate partner to be prepared that she might be emotional, which she was. I've been in meetings when other advocates cried telling their story. You know what? That's okay. That is absolutely okay. Because that legislator needs to see you fully transparent in your story and how Alzheimer's affects you. So don't feel bad. You don't need to apologize if tears flow. And you don't need to apologize if you fumble your words. Guess what? They fumble their words too. So it's great if you want to just read off the information. I think it makes it really easy for you as you're presenting and asking the legislator to support our efforts. But the bottom line is anything can happen. You could walk in and the meeting could literally get canceled. We hope not, but things happen. So you might have a canceled meeting at the very last second. You might have your time cut short. It might end up being a really emotional meeting. You might have a legislator that wants to get off track and start talking about other things. And that's where I recommend, if possible, whoever your leader is, your team leader is in the meeting, they'll be prepared to steer that legislator back on topic, because we need to be very diplomatic on how we do that. Sometimes they may want to bring up a subject that's just completely very far away from what we're talking about. So your leader will help you get back on track and get that legislator back to listening to the reason why we're there. And the reality is, what can really happen is your legislator may seem very disinterested in what you have to say, and that's okay. You keep talking. If they're looking down and they're checking their phone and they've got text messages and their admin assistants walking in and interrupting every few seconds because there's something going on, that's okay. Just keep going to the best of your ability. What you want to make sure is that they know why you're there, what you're asking for. We want your commitment on what we are involved in for this year. What else do they need to know? I don't know everything. I'm happy to get you that information. Make sure that they have their gift, and don't forget the picture. It really is a lot of fun. And James is telling you the truth. Once you do one meeting, you're going to go, oh, this is not a big deal at all, actually. And the more normal it is with hiccups and mistakes and errors in what you say, makes it more real. So don't worry about any of that, because it'll happen, and that's fine. And I think you're all going to love it, and you're going to be really glad that you participated. I consider it a privilege. I absolutely love the opportunity to advocate for those that need a voice representing them with our state legislature. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Carol. I will hold off on the questions because I can't see the screen either, and I do know that there's some questions in the chat. But really quickly, to go over a legislative meeting flow, when I send out the link, the YouTube link for the recording for this, I will also, in theory, share with you how an effective meet. I will give you we have a recording of an effective meeting. It is a virtual recording meeting. We did this last year, so we're like in Zoom squares, and it's a mock meeting. I will also be sharing with you a really bad version of the same meeting. You know, one thing that we want you to be is your authentic self. It's more important for you to be your authentic self and do you the way you do you. Don't try to match anybody else's energy. You do you. But the flow will be introductions. As Carol said, you will be put into teams. We are trying to coordinate to where you will meet with your legislator, your legislators. Out of the 30 districts in the state, we have meetings with 25. We have meetings with legislators in 25 of those districts as of right now. We have advocate constituent representation from 26 out of the 30 districts. So we're going into rural, a lot of times we forget about our rural partners. If you're not in the primary cities of Yuma, Tucson, Phoenix, Flagstaff, or Prescott, we don't want to forget you. You guys are part of our state, and we want you because you guys don't have access to the programs and services. Hence why we're meeting with our elected officials to ensure everybody has access to this. Depending on the time, 1 or 2 people can share their personal story. One thing that I would stress is if you want to write down your story just to practice, that's totally fine. But I would have 3 different versions. I would have that quick 30 second to 45-second elevator speech. As you can see in this photo, we have advocates sitting down with an elected official, and then we have other advocates that just met one of the senators at the elevator, and they had like a 2-minute meeting. You may not be able to get to everything. That's why we have legislative leave behinds. But the one thing that we want to leave behind when you finish your meeting is for them to remember you and for them to remember your story. You are the constituents of the state. You are the ones that are voting for these elected officials. We want to make the asks. Like I said, you could always read it. A group photo. I am like Carol. I always forget about the photo. I have no idea why. And we would hope that you would all post your photos on social media and use the hashtag #andalls. We also have another hashtag, which is #andallsaz, fairly simple. And then we want to follow up with thank yous. It's always important to thank our legislators, but also thank their assistants, because that's who we have been working with to schedule these meetings. Please thank them. They are part of this, and they basically control whether or not you get in and out of that meeting. So it is important to thank the legislative aides as well. I will be sending out an email once again tomorrow. If you have any questions, I will share my email. Well, I've been blowing up your emails for weeks now, so you should have my email address. On Monday, I will also provide you all with my cell phone number. I will, for the most part throughout the day, be at Wesley Bowlin Plaza in the bowl. I can run to any meeting, I can do whatever, but I'll give you my cell phone number in case something happens. And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if we have any questions, let's see what's in the chat first. Madeline, I will, so Madeline asks, is anyone driving to Phoenix from Tucson on Monday? I need a ride. Madeline, I will connect you with Morgan Hartford, who is actually on this call right now. He is our community executive in the Southern Arizona region. I'm not sure what like his travel plans are, but we may be able to provide your ride to and from. But Mark Hall has also said that he wants to know what part. So we want to make sure you come. It's awesome, and I thank you all for I thank you, Mark, for stepping in. Lori, I think your question has already been asked. Is there a bill sponsored to get a dementia coordinator? We're shooting for Senator Shope. So definitely more to come. And Jody, I apologize. There's a typo in a word. I appreciate you saying that. Oh, that was directly to me. I had a typo and Jody sent me a message. So I will open this up. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Want to share anything?
Well, I've done a lot of these. This is my first time with the Alzheimer's Association, so I'm pretty excited. In the, I guess in the agenda that James went over earlier, in the afternoon, we'll be splitting up between the House and Senate and in the galleries to be introduced from the floor. And so I think that's just one of my favorite times of the year of legislative session is when my groups come. And the reason why I was going to share with you now is because when we have like 25 people or 30 people or more, and everybody stands up when they announce us, like just the sound of the chairs, it like fills my heart with joy. So I'm getting really excited. But this year, the House and Senate, they start at the same time. So, if you before tried to go from one to the other, which historically we could have done when they started at different times, this year they're both starting at the same time. So we'll just split into two.
The question in the chat is how many on the team? We try to keep the visits no more than 4. This year, in the past, I just, would clump advocates together and say, you guys are Team Washington and you're going to do all these visits. This year, we are trying to match you with your legislators, so they will be meeting with their constituent. You will be meeting with other elected officials that may not be your personal representative or your personal senator, because we want you to be tired at the end of the day because you've done so many meetings. And then Larry writes, I've written a book about my story. Can I bring some of those books? Yes, but let's talk day out. Just because I want to make sure, one of the things that I want to make sure is we're in alignment with what the Alzheimer's Association's policy priorities are. And I just want to make sure that, not to say that there's anything wrong with your book, but I just want to make sure that it's not controversial, because there are aspects of this disease that are extremely controversial. If you haven't watched the news, there was the first treatment came out a year ago, very controversial. There's another one that came out last month or the month before that's like promising, but we will see more treatments. So yes, bring them with the caveat of but. And then, perfect. And then Madeline asked, would Grant and I-10 be convenient for you? And what time? So it does start at 8:30 if you want to get there
Oh,
earlier.
sorry. That was supposed to be a direct message. My
Oh,
bad.
okay.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. So if there's no other questions, I will give you back 15 minutes of your day.
Actually, I have a quick question, James. This is my first time as well. So is this day devoted to the Alzheimer's Association, or will there be other groups taking up attention and time?
So there will be other lobbyists and other entities at the Capitol. I'm going to go with the assumption that we will be the only state day because we have access to the park. And so will there be people there? Yes. Tori, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so there's a chance. So there's probably going to be another group, a smaller group, with fewer people. But we have the day. It's our state day, so that's why we have Wesley Bowen Plaza. They only give that to one group every day, so we had to apply for that months ago. But yeah, there'll be some other groups there. There usually are, a couple smaller groups. Like I was just at the Capitol yesterday, and there was the main group, and then there was like another smaller group also. But the lawmakers are just going to be busy in general, but we should be the main group that is introduced in the House and Senate for sure. We should be the largest.
And Jody,
And really quickly, if meetings start at 8:30, what time should we be arriving and, to locate you and everything?
so as of right now, we have 2 visits scheduled at 8:30. The most start at 9 and beyond. My suggestion is to get there, I don't know, like somewhere between 8:15 and 8:30. The advocates that will be doing the 2 8:30 meetings are already aware that they'll be doing the 2:30 meetings because we need them to be there earlier. But I would suggest just to get comfortable and to go over the documents and network. As of looking at the registration page yesterday, there's about 80 people registered. So very, very exciting. So I would say I'll be there at 6 in the morning because I have to be there to set up the tent. So I will be there. So if anybody wants to come and hang out, Jody, you are more than welcome to come hang out with me. But I mean, 8:30 would be totally fine as well.
Okay. Thank you.
James? I
Yeah.
don't think any one of us said this today, although probably everybody knows it. When you wear those comfortable clothes, try to make them purple. Wear your purple. I don't think we said that.
In the presentation, there was a picture, well, numerous pictures of past state days, and everybody's wearing these purple sashes. We will be decked out in these purple sashes. I will tell you, they will fall off of you, they will get in your way, they will annoy the heck out of you, but it is such a great visual. One thing that I do want to press is you all will get one of these paddles, but we want these paddles to be put away when you go into the buildings. There's rules and regulations that they have, and we don't want to look like we're picketing or rioting or doing anything like that. So you will have these, they're great visual aids. It's okay when you take your photo with your elected official, if you have them hold this, it's totally fine, you can all hold it. But I would just want to make sure that we follow protocols. And I don't think I said this, and I don't know if Carol or Tori did as well. One thing that we want to make sure, I won't schedule you like a 9 o'clock meeting and a 9:15 meeting unless it's in the House. Representatives may share like a larger office inside their smaller offices, if that makes sense. But please plan ahead, and you want to make sure that you're getting through security. We can't just roam the hallways. You do need to check in at the desk, and the legislator's assistant will come out and bring all of you back. There is a metal detector in the House building, so make sure that you're adding in that time to get through security in the House. In the Senate, they don't have that, but you still do have to check in with security. And Madeline, I would say, so as of right now, the last meeting that we have scheduled is at 2. I would say that it will probably end around 1:30. We will be taking a group picture in front of the Capitol. But if you don't have any meetings, once your meetings are done, then technically you are done. You're more than welcome to hang out. We have a debrief. If there's any questions, or if any legislator asks for follow-up questions, that's when you can let us know. But I would say around 1:30. But we are going to be going up to the galleries in the House and Senate, so we will split up. And that's around 1:15, and they will acknowledge us on the floor. We are trying to get some of our advocates acknowledged as well. Right now on this call, we have Mark and Leonard. We're trying to get them acknowledged. Everybody's going to be acknowledged, but we also have a little testimonial from Mark and Leonard as well as 2 other advocates. So that's a good time as well. But once that's over, once they acknowledge us, most people just get up and walk out of the gallery anyways. We won't all be able to be in the House and the Senate at the same time, so you will have the ability to split, but we want to try to keep it as close to 50-50 as possible. But we will also leave it up to you because the galleries are pretty large, and they're on the 3rd floor. There are elevators in the building, but there's also stairs in the building. So once again, comfortable clothes, purple comfortable clothes. If you have purple, you don't have to go out and buy anything, but definitely comfortable shoes. And you want to dress business. We are meeting with elected officials. We want to make sure that we're giving them the respect that they deserve. And on your legislator sheets, we'll make sure that you know if you're meeting with somebody in leadership, because we want to make sure that you call them by their proper title. And you might go in and meet and say, I'm meeting with Representative Dunn. And this is like a perfect example. Representative Dunn to me is Tim. He's told me to call him Tim. I just can't because he's Representative Dunn, but they might tell you that. And it's okay if you refer to them by their given name if they say it. We go in, it's very relational and it's very casual. We don't want to be confrontational. That's for a couple of years down the line when we want to target Medicaid. So at some point we will be targeting Medicaid. But we want to make sure that we are as respectful as possible because we want them to meet with us again and we want them to pass our legislation.
I don't know if you had mentioned, James, I was just thinking for the first timers, James keeps mentioning checking in with security. So if you have a meeting and James will have whether it's in the House or the Senate, and again, like he said, if it's in the House, you have to go through security, so give yourself a little extra time. I did talk to the security yesterday, maybe it was 2 days ago. They approved the sashes. As James said, we can wear those, no signs. But they said, if you want to streamline your process, don't bring any bags with you. Just be ready to walk through the metal detector and it will streamline your process. So just wanted to mention that. And when you walk in, your room number, it's going to start with a 1, a 2, or a 3. So say your meeting is with someone in room 302. So that means you go to the 3rd floor and there's a security desk and you just check in and you say, I have a meeting with Representative so-and-so or Senator so-and-so, and they will get you checked in. And they'll tell you if you're at the wrong place too, which is really nice. They're all very nice, and they want us to meet with the right people. So they'll tell you.
One thing to add on top of what Tori just said is, I don't know if the legislative aides are marking down that it's an Alzheimer's meeting or if the majority, they all know what we're there for, but the meeting might be in my name. So not that I need you all to throw my name around, but if they're like, they don't have anybody for Alzheimer's, just say, oh, we have a meeting with James. That just like popped into my head. But I've been the one that's been scheduling all the meetings, so it's all my name. But they do know we're coming, which is really, really exciting.
Will we have a map so we can find our way around?
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
Jody, I will tell you, I mean, we will be decorating Wesley Bowen Plaza. If you haven't ever been there, it is a huge, gigantic park, and there's lots of memorials to look at. I think it's fantastic. And like saying, oh, we have to walk across the street. It's not like you probably will walk a mile throughout the day, but it's not miles to get to and from. If you have meetings in the House, I am going to try to make sure that all of you can bounce from the House and Senate, so you can go into both buildings. But it's pretty much going upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs.
James, one more thing, this is obvious and I know it, but just in case, especially fellows, because it's more common, I know, for you to do this, but just remember, no pocket knives, don't have anything in your pockets, or if you're going to carry a bag, take those items out. Don't have them with you, because if you hit security with them, that's going to be an issue. So my son-in-law forgot when we went to Disneyland years and years ago, he had a pocket knife in his pocket and he had to take the tram and go all the way to the parking lot where we had parked to get rid of that knife so that he could enter Disneyland. And I'm sure it's a little stricter at the House and the Senate.
I have to ask a question. It's more personal than, I probably doesn't apply to anybody else, but I am a diabetic and I do carry my diabetic kit with me, my insulin and syringes. Is that going to be a problem?
No problem.
Okay.
Well, great.
I carry an EpiPen and it's never, ever been an issue.
Okay.
I appreciate all of you taking the time. I look forward to seeing all of you on Monday. Expect an email from me tomorrow. I can't, if you ask, I can't tell you what visits and who you're meeting with and at what time. I won't be doing that until Sunday because I want to see if we can get more visits scheduled. So I'm definitely waiting to the last minute. But we definitely look forward to all of you, seeing all of you on Monday. and have an amazing day, Friday, and weekend. And make sure you sleep well Monday night, 'cause you will be exhausted at the end of the day. Bye, everyone.